The late Stanley Overton Dunkley, better known as Waff Waff, from the Santa Cruz area of St. Elizabeth, was said to have been a hard man to die. He survived 4 strokes, 2 motor vehicle crashes, and other life-threatening incidents.
I used to hear my uncle told me some stories. That one occasion he remembered that he was coming from River one early morning. I think it was about 1989. Gunman held him up and said, "Boy, tie your shirt around your shoulder, your neck." And he said when the gunman told him to run, the speed at which he run past Brooks, run on his way straight out to Content. He never remembered the turn to go to his yard. He told me another story that on one occasion he was moving a pot early one morning from a dam where it was catching fish, and a crocodile hit him with the tail and dropped him out of the water, pitched him out of the water. He told some stories, but one thing is sure is that God has extended his life, and we had the same to say, what a hard man for them.
Mr. Dunkley died on July 31, 2022, while undergoing treatment for an illness at Black River Hospital in his native parish. He was 77.
On numerous occasions, I, along with his wife, had to rush him to the doctor or the hospital. He was diagnosed with a lot of complications. These include kidney problem, lungs problem, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and the list goes on. However, he had to take multiple pills each day. His health is deteriorating. As his dash continued with strokes upon strokes, on October 9, 2021, my cousin Tina called to say, "My dad is unable to walk. It looked like he got another stroke." We took him to the doctor, then rushed him to the hospital. When we did the test, we found out he got a 3rd stroke. He was bleeding around the brain, which caused him to be crippled. He got a 4th stroke. He was admitted immediately. Sunday, July 31st, 2022, about 10 p.m., a doctor called me to say, "My dad's lungs collapsed. He went peacefully to be with his maker. His memories will always live on in our hearts. His final words are saying, 'Do good, and good will always swallow you.' My final word to him in hospital was, 'Papa, let go and let God. God have his reason. Sleep in peace, Papa.'"
To celebrate Mr. Dunkley's life, his relatives and friends got together on what turned out to be a wet Sunday afternoon, September 4. They did it at Santa Cruz Seventh-day Adventist Church, one of the sanctuaries where Mr. Dunkley once worshipped.
I got it real for you and what and made me whole. His love for me, it is like your own. I got it real for I can feel deep in my soul. Some folks may doubt, some folks may scorn, but all can deserve and leave alone. God has for me, I think that's fine. For since that day, God has been real in my heart. My God is real, He's real in my soul. My God is real, for He has washed and made me whole. His love for me
my soul.
Brigitte Dunkley Forrest, in the eulogy, tried to fill out what she described as the dash between her father's birth and death.
Stanley Overton Dunkley started his 77-meter years on May 18, 1945, to parents Ruby Gale and Alexander Dunkley in the district of Nerva, community of Santa Cruz, and the parish of St. Elizabeth. His first stage of dash started at the Santa Cruz All Age. From an early stage, he had a love for farming, fishing, cooking, and security work. He mastered the four of them well. Stanley was a hard worker. However, he had a soft and gentle heart for his friends, loved ones, and family, which allowed him to capture the hearts of many.
Among the hearts that Mr. Dunkley captured are those of the three women with whom he had his 4 children. Those children are Brigitte, whom you are looking at, Stacia, Simone, and the only son Tyrone, who is on your screen in jacket suit. Mr. Dunkley later fell in love with another woman, Isilda Parker, whom he wedded in 1996 after a few years together. His daughter, still filling out what she called the dash, indicated that her father had a battle.
He returned to alcohol.
Pastor ELCANDO CITERON, while delivering a short and spicy sermon, said his late uncle, Mr. Dunkley, was God-fearing, though not perfect.
I remember just before I went off to the seminary, to NCU to study, my uncle and I, we would study. Every Friday evening I would stop by the house, we would pray together, sing together, study Bible together. And you know, I want to recall one particular event that happened sometime before he died, maybe a few months. I remember one night I stopped by the house to sleep with the family. His wife and his daughter was on one bed, and he was on one bed, and because he had this habit of falling off the bed, I decided that I would go down on the floor ground and sleep down there. And I would listen to him in the night, and he would be praying. And one of the prayers that I remember he prayed, he said, Lord, if I have done anything in my life that I did not know that I was doing wrong, please, I'm asking you, God, to forgive me. And I listened to the prayer, and he was there praying in the night, and it was very heart-touching. And I want to say that my uncle's favorite text from the Bible was, he that believeth should not perish but have everlasting life. He believed in God, and despite the fact that he wasn't a saint, neither was he perfect, but my uncle had a praise for God on his lips, and he was always talking about God. And I really appreciated that for him. And if one of the values that I can say that he taught me, or he would remind us, he said, honest debt ought to be paid. He always had that thing, honest debt must be paid. And I believe that if we practice that, we would have less problem in Jamaica. Amen? We would have less problem in Jamaica.
Different speakers also described Mr. Dunkley as a family man. They included one of his nieces, PETERGAYE Dunkley Mullings, who also is a Jamaican author, philanthropist, and healthcare practitioner. She left Jamaica shortly before her uncle's death and was unable to make it back for the burial. In an audio remembrance that was played at the Thanksgiving service, Dunkley Mullings described her uncle's life as a blessing.
Uncle Stanley, your life was such a blessing and a memory. Your memory will always be our treasure. It's hard to forget someone who gave us so much to remember. Uncle Stanley, I will never forget you screaming for us, me and my siblings, proudly offering us money for ice cream. You've never had anything bad to say about any human being. It was always a happy moment around you, especially on Sundays after you've consumed a little bit too much liquid encouragement. We honor you for being the kind of man who always shows kindness and always wearing a smile on your face. I've never seen you angry. I've never seen your waff waff side. And sir, the angels will be kind. We love you and we honor you. It was not too long ago when I sat on your bed and I said, Uncle, you're a fighter. You've been through this before. And I know you will get up. You said, no, my niece, not this time. I didn't understand what was happening at the time, Uncle. But you left a legacy. I will always remember Uncle Stanley.
Another thing Dunkley Mullings recalled is that her uncle didn't refer to relatives by their names, but instead by their specific relations, a show of how family-oriented he was. Meanwhile, Pastor CITERON sent those in earshot into self-introspection with this appeal.
I say to the people here today, live for Jesus. I said live for Jesus. It doesn't matter how hard it is. Why go to hell and still go to hell? I want to let you know that there is hope in Jesus. That there is resurrection hope in Jesus. For he that believeth in me should not perish, but have everlasting life. Believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, and thou shalt be saved. Sinners are still the raw material from which we make saints. And it doesn't matter how bad your past may have been, Jesus can fix it for you.
And then it was time for pallbearers to again get down to work, removing Mr. Dunkley's casket from the church to the hearse. Some people made the best use of the little time available for photo ops and greetings before starting their journey to the family plot, Mr. Dunkley's old home located at New River, St. Elizabeth. The ride through the town of Santa Cruz was smooth, but it got really bumpy on the remote stretch leading to the burial site. Finally, the journey was completed. Well, not quite. The resilience of the people and their love for Mr. Dunkley brought them and the casket to the graveside.
We do at this time commit his body to this earth, ashes to ash, dust to dust, in hope of a sure and certain resurrection, knowing that the issues of life and death are in the hand of a loving creator. And we say amen.
Yes.
Workmen, get to work.
Inside.
We will begin to sing some songs of praise to God. Maybe by the river, oh yes, someday. Maybe by the river, far away.
With extra effort, the casket was in. Outside, Mrs. Dunkley, a new widow, laid a wreath on the grave of the man that she loved and cared for unconditionally.
He is a nice person and kind. I miss my husband, you know. But to me alone, him alone was there, you know.
Mrs. Dunkley wasn't the only one singing her husband's praise at the graveside.
We are close cousins, and normally he would pass and call. He never call you by your name. It's always saying cousin, my family. And you know, once I cook pork, and if him come by the house and him not get no pork, me in trouble. When I had my first cook shop in Rocky Hill, he would normally stop by or him call and said, if you don't see me put up my pork, worse if it's hog head. He was good, humble, meek, and if him come by the shop and take anything from you, you don't have to worry, we can go and pay you. Because he believed in paying your debt. Even a dollar balance, he said, take it at your dollar. Me pay you $1, take it. And he was just a family person overall. Him love the family, him care for family. Don't matter the rain or the sun, and if something happened to a family member, look out, he's coming.
Other people who came to show their last respect included these two fishermen, former colleagues of the late Mr. Dunkley.
He was a good, honest man, decent man, with principle and whatsoever. We are all a fisherman, so we all work together. So we know his attitude and everything about him is kind of separate to me. Understand? Fine.
Honest man. You know, we catch shrimps. That was the main thing, catching shrimps. And we never have to wonder how we are going to get rid of the shrimps, because he would go and look the market. And when he go into his pocket and the money is finished, we don't have to wonder if we are to give him the shrimps. When he come back, he's going to pay us. Very, very honest man. Very honest man. Stanley Dunkley.
After laying Mr. Dunkley to rest, the people left and went back onto the main road to the family's home to eat, greet, and meet. That's where we met Derrick Parker, brother-in-law of the deceased.
Brother Stanley is a good man. He with his sister over 28 years. You know, I tell me I am get on very good. When we come at Stanley is very nice, man.
I'm my best friend, man, good friend. Nice, man. Kind, loving, friendly, Tina one.
Yes, Mr. Dunkley was my good friend. He's a man who we know for a very long time. He usually raise him pig and something. Me and my father usually come down here. We could get it just from him, take it from him until we go sell and come back. In that him come for money, we bring it back to Mr. Dunkley. So we know Mr. Dunkley for years. Mr. Dunkley was a good friend, well missed.
All in all, Mr. Dunkley got an impressive send-off, and Dunkley's funeral home was proud to have been a part of it, not just because the deceased is a Dunkley.
Dunkley's funeral services, it was a pleasure serving the family, the Dunkley's family today, and it's a good choice. Choose Dunkley's.
In St. Elizabeth, this is the Jamaica Beacon, covering funerals in a better and different way.